be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years. And it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera.
In a speech earlier this morning, President Donald Trump absolutely destroyed the World Economic Forum, throwing under the bus some countries. That is one of which Canada. And I gotta say, I'm very confused as to how I feel about this. He's still using the platform to say Canada's going to become the 51st state, which is incredibly funny. And it's like fun to fantasize and entertain briefly. But Canada deserves to keep its sovereignty, and to use your platform on the World Economic Forum stage, I'm kind of speechless. Along with the fact that he doubled down, saying that there's two genders, which is something he said on his first day, which is something that Pierre poilievre actually said for Canada's representation yesterday. And we're going to play those clips. But he said some other things, like we don't need Canada's lumber, we don't need their cars and all that stuff. And it's just wild, using your platform, your time to speak on the World Economic Forum and say those things. He said some other wild things. I'm not saying wild in a bad way, like absolutely bombshells. And we're going to take a look at everything in this video, at least all of the highlights. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage y'all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. I don't think anyone is really prepared for Trump version 2. A lot of people are like, okay, yeah, he's going to be a little bit more unhinged than he was in his first round, but this is insane, using the World Economic Platform to say, come to America, we're going to lower taxes, screw every other country, come here, America's going to be a powerhouse, we're basically going to denuclearize China, we're not going to have any more relations with Canada and Mexico. Like, it's just absolutely bonkers. But before we get into it, I just want to play this clip from Pierre poilievre, who did say in the past few years that he has banned everybody from the World Economic Forum, from his cabinet, which is kind of nice. Let's just take a brief look.
And that is why I've made it clear that my ministers in my government will be banned from participating in the World Economic Forum when I'm in
Awesome, when he's in government. So Trump didn't actually attend in person. I believe he attended vis-a-vis Skype or whatever platform they're using, and everybody was speechless. So we're going to kick off the day here with this clip. We're just getting started. President Trump tells the World Economic Forum that although his administration has already accomplished more in 4 days than others have in 4 years, much more is on the way to make America greater, bigger, stronger, and better than ever before, which is pretty much what we're all expecting anyways.
And here in America, we have big events coming up. Next year, we have the 250th anniversary of America's founding. I'm so honored to be president during that. That's been a big event. They've been talking about it for 10 years. We also have the World Cup, and I understand Gianni's in the room. Infantino, he was very instrumental in helping us get it. He's there with you someplace, I think, and I want to thank him for that. And then we have the Olympics coming up, which I was instrumental in getting also in my first term. And who would have known that by skipping a term, I would get the Olympics? I was upset. I said, you know, I got the Olympics to come and I won't be president. But it turned out through a stroke of luck, or whatever you might call it, that I'm going to be president during the World Cup and the Olympics and the 250th anniversary. So that's going to be 3 big events. And we've accomplished more in less than 4 days. We have really been working 4 days than other administrations have accomplished in 4 years. And we're just getting started. It's really an amazing thing to see. And the spirit and the light over our country has been incredible. Under the last administration, our nation has suffered greatly, but we're going to bring it back and make it greater, bigger, stronger, better than ever before.
Wow. I mean, this is powerful. This is very, very powerful. And a lot of Canadians, I know there's a big separation and divisiveness within what Trump says, because we're going to get into it in a few moments here, saying we're going to acquire Canada and all that stuff. And a lot of people are like, hey, that's awesome. And a lot of others like, hey, whoa, that's crossing a line. But before we get into that, I do need to point out that never mind acquiring Canada. President Trump is going after NATO and every single country's NATO contribution. For a very long time, the minimum contribution, the entry fee, is 2% of that nation's GDP. And it's something that Justin Trudeau has failed on. And now he just increased it, or he's about to increase it from 2% to 5%.
As we restore common sense in America, we're moving quickly to bring back strength and peace and stability abroad. I'm also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is what it should have been years ago. It was only at 2%, and most nations didn't pay until I came along. I insisted that they pay, and they did, because the United States was really paying the difference at that time, and it was unfair to the United States. But many, many things have been unfair for many years to the United States. Before even taking office, my team negotiated a ceasefire agreement in the Middle East, which wouldn't have happened without us, as I think most of the people in the room know.
Just so people are aware of where Canada specifically, because this is a Canadian channel and I am Canadian, of where Canada is in terms of our contribution to NATO, let's hear it right from Justin Trudeau.
We can say with confidence and assurance that we will hit the 2% spending mark by 2032.
Despite the vow, Trudeau
we're going to hit 2% by 2032. So Justin Trudeau has acknowledged that we're only at like 1.3%, and we're going to hit the minimum entry fee to NATO in 6 more years, 7 more years, 8 more years. That's insane. And now the bar has been raised another 2.5%, right? Well, it's gone up 3%. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there you go. I'm mouthing. I haven't had much coffee yet this morning. That's absurd. Oh my goodness, Canada's about to get kicked out of NATO. We can't defend ourselves. America is likely to, merge with us or something, because Trump is not going to want Canada not paying the bills of 2%, not to mention 5% that he's setting now, and us being a border with them. So we're likely to be taken over in some capacity. I mean, this is absurd. We can't defend ourselves. We don't even have an army. We have an army of tax agents. I think there's more CRA agents, Canada Revenue agents, than there are military personnel. How many people are filing taxes in Canada? Why do you need so many people? You call CRA right now. If I called CRA at the start of this video, I wouldn't even reached an agent by the end of this video. Give me a break, man. This is crazy. And that's not the worst thing he said. It gets better. Here we go, folks. In this next clip, come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. This is how a leader should pretty much kind of be leading the country, with these types of incentives. Instead, Canada's like, hey, yeah, come here and we're going to tax you more. Nobody wants that. I mean, you already have Amazon that's leaving Quebec, likely for tax reasons, right? So it's crazy, man. Businesses are going to be leaving Canada, and we're going to be a destroyed nation, an absolutely destroyed ghost town of a nation.
To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA. Already Americans' economic, you can see this, I think, maybe even in your wonderful, wonderful room that you're all gathered together, so many of my friends, but Americans, the economic confidence is soaring like we haven't seen in many, many decades, maybe not at all. Upon my election, it was just announced that small business optimism skyrocketed by 41 points in a single month. It's the highest ever. There's never.
I mean, this is absolutely insane. America is going to be a bigger superpower than they have ever been. The stock market is going to explode. The S&P 500 is currently around 6,000. I think it's going to hit like 8,000 by the end, or 9,000 by the end of 2024 year, 2025. I mean, this is crazy, man. This is people are going to be flocking to America to apply for citizenship and for businesses to work there. But now let's take a look at what Trump said at the World Economic Forum about genders. He doubled down. This is very pivotal moment in our future of society, right? Here we go.
And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely. And I've made it official.
There you go. Right there you go. Now that that's settled, the world can move on, because it seems like Canada is following suit. Now, I'm sure you've seen this clip from yesterday, but this is the moment that Pierre Poilievre completely owned this woke reporter when asked about the two gender question at hand in response to what Trump had said.
First day on the job, President Trump signed an executive order, the U.S. government only recognizing two genders, male, female. They're unchangeable. If elected as prime minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as prime minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other that you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
Well, there's personally, I am a man. I am as people say, cis man. There are people there who, they say they're.
What the hell's a cis man? What the hell's a cis man? I don't know what those things mean. Maybe somebody in the comments can let me know, or maybe I just don't ever talk about it. But what the hell is what's a cis? Isn't a cyst a freaking thing that can explode? What the hell is a cyst, man? There's so many different things. It's so confusing. It's so confusing. And I've been quiet about it for a very long time. I've been quiet about this for a very long time. I broke my silence on YouTube yesterday during that interview, and I shared a story that just happened within the past now like 10 days, where my daughter met a 2-year-old daughter, met a friend at the park, 2 years old. And then the parents, we found out, identify that child as non-binary. And that just freaking triggered me for the past 10 days. 10 days, I've been just furious about it. Because once that starts, it really has an impact when it hits home. When it's somewhere home, it affects you, someone you know, in this case, my kids. And that just like, my brain has been rattled since then. Because it hasn't come into my bubble yet, right? It's just been shit that's happening around me, all that stuff. But now it's like, oh, right to my kids? No, I don't think so. But bye. And I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with it. And I'm glad America's taking a really hard stance on it. Canada's likely going to follow suit in a little bit more of a progressive approach, but still, I think the world is healing. until Trump says this. The world may be healing, but Canada is in for a very bumpy ride. Now we're taking a look at Trump throwing Canada under the bus on the World Economic Forum stage. Not good.
But one thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years. And it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, just as an example, with Mexico, we're dealing with Mexico, I think, very well. And we just want to be treated fairly with other nations, because there's hardly a nation in the world, and I blame this on us, and I blame it on politicians that, for some reason, mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly stupidity. They've allowed other nations to take advantage of the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore. We have debt. It's a very small debt when you compare it to the value of the assets that we have, but we don't want to do that. We want to just have debt be obliterated, and we'll be able to do that fairly rapidly. And a lot of good things are going to happen. And honestly, good things are going to happen for the world, and good things are going to happen for the people that are dealing with us.
And the way to maintain those good things is have good relationships with America. And it's not good relationships with America when our politicians are saying, hey, we should be having retaliatory tariffs. Dude, I am afraid of any politician that says that in Canada as a first response. What Trump has said is we have problems in Canada and they're bleeding into America. Fix your shit, Canada, or else there's a penalty. That makes sense. It sucks being on the receiving end of that, but that makes sense. That would be the same thing with America. Hey, America, fix your shit. That keeps bleeding into Canada, or else there's going to be a penalty. That makes sense. Even though we border them, that makes sense. And the initial reaction by our politicians, right? Doug Ford, Trudeau, the Liberals, is, hey, no, we're gonna fight back with more tariffs. Dude, these people are on their way out. Jagmeet might not even win his own seat. She's probably not going to run for re-election. Trudeau's on his way out. He committed to resigning. Doug Ford's not going to win another election. These people that want to do a trade war with America aren't even going to be in politics in the next 12 months. 6 months. This is insane behavior. I don't like this at all. And I'm afraid for Canada, because if we start picking a fight with them, with America, they're going to hit back. They're not going to say, well, we hit you with 25% tariffs. You hit us back with tariffs. Good game. Good game, guys. It was fun. It was fun while it lasted. Let's call it even. That's not going to be the response at all. You think this guy who's ready to take over the world, Trump, is going to say, let's call it even? I don't think so, man. They're going to keep hitting us and hitting us. They're going to devalue our dollar, right? It's not good. It's not good at all. So I'm pro-America, but I'm pro-Canada first. And I think that Canada's response should be Canada first. Let's fix our shit that's bleeding into other countries, because that is a problem. Plus, hey, it helps us. It helps us. Isn't that phenomenal? That would be phenomenal. Imagine if our politicians actually wanted to better our country. Wow, what a daunting task. I know, to be paid $350,000 a year to actually do your fucking job. Wow, crazy concept. But no, they want to just pick a fight on their way out. I don't like it. I think it stinks. And I think that any politician that jumps to that conclusion, you should definitely be cautious of them. That's the end of the video, folks. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think Canada is even going to have a chance at reaching 5% defense budget spending, or do you think that we're just doomed and going to be taken over by America? Let me know your thoughts. On your way out, if you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.